Welcome to Introduction to Special Education. This video is produced by Disability Rights Florida, but is not a replacement for the advice of an attorney. You may request free and confidential information and advice regarding a specific special education issue by contacting Disability Rights Florida directly at 1-800-342-0823 or www.disabilityrightsflorida.org. This video is one of several available on our website and YouTube channel, produced to assist you with aspects of the special education services available in Florida. In this video, Introduction to Special Education, we will cover the following topics. 1. What is the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, and what are exceptional student education services in Florida? And 2. What are the ways a child with a disability might be eligible for services? Special education is instruction that is specially designed to meet the unique needs of children who have disabilities. More than 6.8 million children, ages 3 through 21, receive special education in the United States. In Florida, children with disabilities who have unique needs and have been found eligible for special education services because of a disability are referred to in the school system as exceptional students. And the special education services are called Exceptional Student Education, or ESE services. The federal law governing special education services, what we call ESE services in Florida, is the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA. Special education and related services are provided in public schools at no cost to the parents and can include special instruction in the classroom, at home, in the hospital, in institutions, or in other settings. Oftentimes, special education is referred to incorrectly as a place or location. But special education is not a place or location. Special education is a service provided to your child based on your child's needs. Special education is comprised of special instructional strategies, services, supports, technologies, accommodations, and modifications, all individualized to assist your child in making appropriate educational progress. In the United States, the right to special education is an established civil right of people with disabilities. Special education, or exceptional student education as we call it in Florida, is to help each student with a disability access appropriate educational services and gain meaningful educational progress in school. ESE services should also help the student prepare for and transition to life after graduation from high school. If, after completing the evaluation and eligibility process, your child is determined to be a child with a disability entitled to special education, then your child will begin to receive Exceptional Student Education, or ESE services. ESE services are designed to help your child learn the same information and skills all children are learning in the general education curriculum. These services can include special teaching methods and materials, adaptive equipment and technology, therapy services such as speech counseling or behavior, special bus transportation, and accommodations and/or modifications to the curriculum. The federal law governing special education rights and responsibilities is called the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA. IDEA gives eligible children with disabilities the right to receive special education services and assistance in school. IDEA was originally passed in 1975 as Public Law 94-142. It was called the Education for All Handicapped Children Act and gave grants to the states for the education of children with disabilities. Since then, the law has been amended many times, while always maintaining and expanding its original purpose, to ensure that children with disabilities have access to a free and appropriate public education. The most recent revisions occurred in 2004. IDEA requires state and local education agencies to find children with disabilities in need of special educational services and identify them so that they may receive the services they need in school. Students with disabilities in public schools who are found eligible for ESE services are entitled to a free and appropriate public education, or FAPE. IDEA requires the development of an individualized education program, or IEP, to ensure that FAPE is provided. Students must be found eligible for services under at least one of the State Board of Education rules on eligibility. The rules incorporate IDEA's 14 definitions of a child with a disability and add 2 additional eligibility categories. Each category of disability has legal criteria that must be met. States are allowed to create criteria as long as they are considered with the IDEA definition. Florida's definitions are as follows. 1. Autism spectrum disorder means a developmental disability significantly affecting verbal and nonverbal communication and social interaction, generally evident before age 3, that adversely affects a child's educational performance. 2. Deaf or hard of hearing means a hearing impairment so severe that a child is impaired in processing linguistic information through hearing, with or without amplification, that adversely affects a child's educational performance. Deaf means an impairment in hearing, whether permanent or fluctuating, that adversely affects a child's educational performance, but is not included under the definition of deafness. 3. Developmentally delayed means a child who is delayed in one or more of the following areas: adaptive or self-help development, cognitive development, communication development, social or emotional development, or physical development, including fine, gross, or perceptual motor. 4. Dual sensory impaired, also known as deaf blindness, means simultaneous hearing and visual impairments, the combination of which causes such severe communication, developmental, and emotional needs that the student cannot be accommodated in special education programs for children with deafness or blindness alone. 5. Emotional and behavioral disabilities mean a condition exhibiting one or more of the following characteristics over a period of time and to a marked degree that adversely affects a child's educational performance. An inability to learn that cannot be explained by intellectual, sensory, or health factors. An inability to build or maintain satisfactory interpersonal relationships with peers and teachers. Inappropriate types of behavior or feelings under normal circumstances. A general, pervasive mood of unhappiness or depression, or a tendency to develop physical symptoms or fears associated with personal or school problems. The term includes schizophrenia, but does not apply to children who are socially maladjusted, unless it is determined that they have an emotional disturbance. 6. Gifted is one of Florida's additional categories and means one who has superior intellectual development and is capable of high performance. Typically, students eligible for this program possess intelligence levels that are 2 standard deviations or more above the average. 7. Hospital homebound is also one of Florida's additional categories and means a student who has a medically diagnosed physical or psychiatric condition which is acute or catastrophic, or a chronic or repeated intermittent illness due to a persisting condition that confines the student to a home or a hospital and restricts activities for an extended period of time. 8. Intellectual disabilities mean significantly below average general intellectual and adaptive functioning manifested during the developmental period of birth to 18 years of age with significant delays in academic skills. 9. Physically impaired with orthopedic impairments means a severe skeletal, muscular, or neuromuscular impairment, including impairments resulting from congenital anomalies such as skeletal deformity or spina bifida, and impairments resulting from other causes like cerebral palsy or amputations. 10. Physically impaired with other health impairment means having limited strength, vitality, or alertness, including alertness problems caused by a heightened response to stimuli, due to an acute or chronic health issue such as asthma, attention deficit disorder, epilepsy, or many other conditions. 11. Physically impaired with traumatic brain injury means an acquired injury caused by an external physical force that results in total or partial functional disability and/or psychosocial impairment that adversely affects educational performance. The term applies to mild, moderate, or severe head injuries, whether open or closed, that result in impairment in one or more areas of brain function. The term does not include brain injuries that are congenital, degenerative, or induced by birth trauma. 12. Specific learning disabilities means a disorder in one or more of the basic psychological processes involved in understanding or in using language, whether spoken or written, that may manifest itself in the imperfect ability to listen, think, speak, read, write, spell, or do mathematical calculations. The term includes such conditions as perceptual disabilities, brain injury, minimal brain dysfunction, dyslexia, and developmental aphasia. The term does not include learning problems that are primarily the result of a visual, hearing, or motor disability, of mental retardation, of emotional disturbance, or of environmental, cultural, or economic disadvantage. 13. Speech and language impaired means a communication disorder such as stuttering, impaired articulation, a language impairment, or a voice impairment that adversely affects a child's educational performance. 14. Visually impaired means an impairment in vision that, even with correction, adversely affects a child's educational performance. This term includes both partial sight and blindness. Schools and districts must develop programs across a full continuum of settings, from least restrictive to most restrictive, to serve students. Districts are not legally required to have the capacity to serve every child in every school, but they must offer a full continuum of settings such that children across the disability spectrum have access to programs in every type of setting, from inclusive to segregated. Each child's least restrictive environment must be determined based on the child's unique needs. The law requires that each child's individual needs for FAPE be met, not just that the child be offered a program. Information about each district's programs and procedures can be found in the district's Special Programs and Procedures, or SP&P manual. You may access your district's SP&P from your district's website or from the Florida Department of Education's website at www.fldoe.org/ese/ppd.asp. Once your child is eligible for ESE services, you will begin to hear words and jargon that are specific to your child's services and educational plan. It is important to become familiar with these key terms, many of which you have already heard in this video. IDEA, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. IDEA refers to the federal law that governs special education services. IEP, Individualized Education Plan or Program. IEP is the plan that is developed based on your child's needs. The IEP outlines what supports he or she needs to be successful. Federal law uses the term program, and Florida law uses the term plan. FAPE, Free and Appropriate Public Education. FAPE is what public schools are required to provide children with disabilities. It means schools must provide access to the general education and specialized education services at no charge to the parents. LRE, Least Restrictive Environment. LRE means with their non-disabled peers to the maximum extent possible. FBA, Functional Behavioral Assessment. FBA is a process to assist with understanding why problem behaviors occur or what the function of the behavior is. FBAs are based on data about your child's behavior collected through observations, interviews, and other relevant information. BIP, Behavior Intervention Plan. BIP means a plan developed by the IEP team with data collected regarding a student's behavior containing strategies such as positive reinforcement and teaching of appropriate behaviors. PBS, Positive Behavior Support. PBS is the application of evidence-based strategies and systems to assist schools to increase academic performance and safety, while decreasing problem behavior and establishing a positive school culture. You may obtain a free copy of the IDEA regulations and Florida rules through the Publications Clearinghouse at the Florida Department of Education. We hope this introduction to special education video was helpful. You may find other special education videos on our website and YouTube channel, along with information about other education topics. If you need more help, you may request it from Disability Rights Florida. Our services are free and confidential.